Hey, 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 guess who's back? It's your girl, it's DJ Maya. We are back again. This is airing on Friday night, 10 to midnight. Every Friday, catch the Mad Chatter Show. I bring you 1 hour of dance music. This is the second half, so we get to go down the rabbit hole. And today I got my sidekick with me, my amazing I don't even know how to like what to call you, like my MC, my DJ, my co-host, DJ Pooh Bear. Say what's up. Say hello.
What's up? How are you?
Hey, hey. And so thank you. We have an amazing guest. Been looking forward to this guest. You want to let everybody know who we have tonight?
Yeah, tonight's guest is somebody I actually first saw on the Typical Skeptic podcast and was just immediately fascinated by him. He is a solar physics researcher. Had many articles published. He's an author, he's a father, and he is also very in tune with the paranormal and does crystal skull readings. His name is Ra Castaldo.
Oh, what's up? Say hello, Ron.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Maya, Don. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we are super excited to have you. And before we even get started, I just want to throw it out there because we are about to really fall down the rabbit hole. So, as everybody knows, the views and opinions expressed on this program are those of me and my co-host, my DJ, and my guests, and not of the radio station. So, like I always say, keep your negative comments to yourself. I'm not interested in them. Don't want to hear about it. We're here to bring you some amazing information. So, Ra, I would love for you to start off by sharing a little bit of background. You know, we don't have a whole lot of time in this hour, so we're going to crunch it down. But if you could just give people a brief about, right before I got on, I was watching soccer. My husband's got me watching Beckham right now. And I was like, what a perfect way to begin this start is you were super into soccer, right, as a kid. And
Yeah.
so do you want to let everybody know how you fell down into this paranormal rabbit hole, how this all began for you?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the question, Maya. I appreciate it as well. And thank you once again for inviting me on your show. I was pretty much born into it. I come from a long line of hereditary mystics that they call in Italy strega or the streghe.
Uh-huh.
And there's various hereditary bloodlines that sort of merged with the Catholic Church as well over time. A lot of the, old religion was adapted from. So I come from one of these bloodlines, and they're actually from both sides of my family. So a lot of the hereditary families, they would marry into other hereditary families for long periods of time. And you might have heard of Giordano Bruno, who was
I have
burned
not.
alive.
I will write that down.
Giordano Bruno was burned alive by the Vatican in the year
Oh,
1600.
oh
And they kept
gosh.
him in a dungeon for many, many years before that. And he is one of my ancestors. In fact, my godmother, Lori Bruno, who's still alive, she's in her 80s. She's a world-renowned psychic as well as myself. And we
Oh,
actually have helped covert agencies. We've helped FBI. We've helped local police departments look for missing children, things like that.
wow.
So Lori is a direct descendant of Giordano Bruno. Lori is
Wow.
not my blood relatives, but she's married into my family and she's a godmother of mine. So she's like a
Okay.
spirit. When my mom died, she sort of like took over the role of my mom in a way as well. But Lori also has a store in Salem, Massachusetts called
Ooh,
Magica, Magika, magica.org. You can get readings from her as well. And
I'll
she is
go visit.
hereditary Strega. Yeah, she's a powerful woman. Powerful
Okay.
woman. So yeah, our bloodlines go back to having the ancient mysteries, holding the stellar mysteries within their DNA, and been crusaders for the truth for hundreds and hundreds of years. It goes in my
Wow.
family, and various people in my family, like I said, I was born into this. Well, it doesn't happen all the time with every generation, but various people in my family that ended up becoming seers or shaman or mystics were born a certain way at birth, and I was born this way, and this is called being born inside the caul. So the caul
Mm-hmm.
is the amniotic sac. If
Right.
people aren't familiar, it's spelled Caul, and it's actually my mother's water never broke, right? So I came out still in the pod, like in the membrane
Wow.
around, right? And it's called an in-call with nuchal call birth. So nuchal cord birth. So I was in the pod with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, right? So
Oh,
check. And for those that are into astrology, as I grew older, I started to realize my chart. So I was born at July 12th, 1978 at 9:32 in the morning, right? And it took 17 hours to deliver me because I was in the call. But at 9:32 a.m. at that day is when Chiron, the wounded healer, comes into my chart, like aligns with my chart in the sun. It's a very rare alignment, and it's like the minute I was born is when the wounded healer Chiron aligned in my chart. It's a comet that's called the wounded healer, and that's
oh,
basically my
wow.
life story. Like I had to go through enormous amounts of trauma and pain and tragedies to be able to find my way out to help other people, learn that, hey, you can heal yourselves. Like, look
Ugh.
what I did. And sometimes, because I can't heal anybody. I'm not like, they might say like, oh, you're a Reiki healer. Yeah, but I'm not healing anyone. I'm showing the people and talking to them, something clicks. Sometimes if you have just the right person at just the right time, just the right moment, says just the right thing, can tap into just the right energy of what you're feeling, things can click where you realize my will, my power is stronger than freaking everything. It's stronger than a bomb, a neutron bomb, right? It's stronger than anything. And if your will is locked on something, there's nothing that can overcome it. And my
Mm.
ancestor, Giordano Bruno, had the iron will of a god. He stayed in a dungeon and ate rats for 8 years because he would not say the Vatican was right. He literally said the reason why he was killed was this. He said that there were innumerable suns with innumerable solar systems, with innumerable planets, with all intelligent life out there. And they were like, no, the earth is the center of everything and blah, blah, blah. Right. So they locked him in, and he was a hermeticist. He was a shaman, a mystic. He was one of the old times where, uh, you know, spirituality and science is fused together, where you're an astrologer and a scientist, a warrior, a shaman, a priest, all in one, right? And he's
Right.
from that old lineage. And so
Yeah.
he literally, only a 5'2", 5'3" man, was a giant amongst men, right? So they
Wow.
locked him in a dungeon where he was like eating rats and stuff for years. Every year they would bring him out and say, "Are you ready to tell the truth now?" And that you were lying and because they wanted him to come work for the church. People think that the church actually burned a lot of witches that were knowledgeable. That's not true, right? They burned low-level peasant witches that were doing low-level stuff. The real knowledgeable ones got coerced to work for the church, or they were tortured until they gave up information and ended up working
Oh,
for the church.
yeah, for sure.
They
Just,
never killed the
oh,
real good ones. They tried to get the knowledge from them and tried to get them to work. When you see people like St. Patrick, all these people from the past, they were mystics that were offered a real good deal. Hey, you're either going to be looked at as a heretic, or you can get all the knowledge at your fingertips and come work for us. And we'll
right.
even bring you to all the sacred spots, and you can convert the local people with your freaking magic. And so this is what the church did, and they tried to squeeze my ancestor, but he said no. And the final year that they burned him at the stake, which is in the year 1600, they brought him in front of the whole town, right? Stripped him naked, tied him to a pole, and said, "You ready to tell the truth now?" And he said, "You're more scared of me than I am of you." And he told this, and he said this speech. They burned him alive right there. He got martyred. So now today they have a statue of him at that very same spot. 400 years later, they sent us a letter to my godmother Lori Bruno apologizing, right? And they have a crater on the moon named after him now as well.
Get
Right?
out of here. What?
Yes. So he's well known. I mean, there's people
We'll
over
have
the
to
world
go
that think
visit
that
it.
they're reincarnated
What
of
is his
Giordano
name
Bruno.
again? Tell
Giordano
me.
Bruno. Yeah, Giordano Bruno. And he's an ancient ancestor of my line.
Okay, I
I'm
wrote that
actually a
down.
reverend. You see the certificate up here. My family line I'm connected to is Our Lady and Lord of the Trinacrian Rose, which is an ancient Sicilian mystery school.
Okay.
And I'm a reverend of that line. I don't actually practice like worshiping gods and all that stuff, but because of the spiritual work, they awarded me with a certificate because I've been doing spiritual work for years,
Yeah.
and I've been carrying on the work of my ancestors.
Yeah.
So there's different people connected to the line that meet and do like certain solstice prayers and stuff like that. I do my own thing.
Are
I
you a
don't
reverend or a rabbi?
a reverend. Reverend.
Be a rabbi.
Yeah, I could be a rabbi. I mean, I could be a rabbi. It's just I'm not from a rabbinical Jewish line, so that wouldn't work. But
Oh,
a
okay.
rabbi is you got to be Jewish. You got to be
Oh,
Jewish. And you
okay.
got to be from a
Can't you
certain
just
line
change
usually.
your religion to be Jewish or add it to you? How does that even work?
A lot of the rabbis nowadays, I would say they're not like the past either. There are a lot of them before to be a rabbi, you had to be like immersed in Kabbalistic work,
Right.
Kabbalism. And usually the Kabbalistic work doesn't start until you're even 40. When you're a Jewish mystic, you're not even supposed to open the Zohar till you're 40 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's a long thing. Yeah, you know those. You know like what they do with some of the rabbis, some of their practices
No.
when they not to get too graphic on your show, but when they
Oh, I'm here.
when they circumcise the baby, right?
Yeah.
They have a special rabbi that comes in, and he's like the vampiric overlord. He comes in, and he has to cut off the foreskin and make a vacuum seal with his mouth and suck the blood out. And there was various rabbis that gave herpes to children in Brooklyn, New York, over the last decade or so. We have a huge community of Hasidic Jews in New York. In Rockland County, we have a whole place called New Square in Muncie that the whole community, they have their own ambulances, their own schools, their own everything, right? And the same thing in Brooklyn. There's a whole community. You in that whole community, you walk down the street, everybody's got those hats on and the suits, and they're sweating and stinking balls because it's 90 degrees and they're wearing a freaking trench coat and mad layers, you know?
There's some serious problems, and I hate to say this, but where I live, there's a predominantly strong Jewish community. My husband is Jewish. My
Really?
mother has Jewish in her. Yes,
And you guys are
but
in Vermont?
yes, yes,
Wow, I didn't
yes.
think there was that many Jews in Vermont. Yeah,
Oh, there's
you want
tons
to
of
hear a
them.
funny joke? Who was the first Jewish astronaut on the moon? See if you can understand this joke.
Shit, I don't even know. I
Nose
don't know.
Cohen. Get it? The nose cone on the rocket? Nose Cohen? Ah, you don't get
I don't get it. I'll ask my husband. He might get it.
it. No.
Nose,
All
nose.
right, I'll explain the joke to you. Cohen is a very, or it's pronounced like cone, right? Cohen is a very Jewish last name, right?
Oh, it's a,
And Jewish people are known for their noses, right? They're big noses.
oh,
So
yeah.
and a rocket has a nose cone at the tip of it,
Oh,
right?
I
So
get
the
it.
first Jewish
Woo.
astronaut in space is the nose Cohen, the nose cone.
Oh, wow. That's hilarious. Okay, I get it now. I get it. That's
Oh,
crazy. Yo, that is some crazy shit though. Wait till my people hear this. Wait till the listeners listen to hear this one. That was some really crazy shit right there, what you just said with that. So, but and not the funny thing about it is like I was joking around about balls and stuff, but we really that seriously, that's how this kind of started for you. Well, not started, but
Well, yeah,
it was like
I was born in the call, so I was already
right,
sensitive at birth. But
right.
then I at
Had your
9 years
soccer
old, yeah,
experience
so
and
I
you
was a
had your near
hyperactive
death
kid.
experience. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so I know we're
let
killing
us
a
hear
lot
it.
of time. We're very short on time, I know. So I could come back on whenever you guys want. So
Yeah, of
when
course.
I was
Brief.
already sensitive as a kid,
Yeah.
hypersensitive. So being born that way, some people are not hypersensitive to various things, but some people are just born with the cold around their head and face. I had it all the way around me. So I already had a lot of sensitive vibrations as a kid, a lot of different things that I was experiencing. I was very hyperactive. So my parents were putting me in a lot of, time to spend my energy. And I was very
Mhm.
athletic. I was a natural athlete, gifted athlete, right? So I was in karate, kickboxing, wrestling, all this different thing. And I was a high level soccer at a very young age. And in my area, they call it travel soccer, right? So I used to play the Sunday Rec League. And on Sunday Rec League, people come and recruit the best kids from the Sunday Rec League, and they have to try out for this travel team. and the best kids on the county are in each year are on the travel team. So I was on the 1978 North Rockland Sting. It was like the travel team. The best kids from my county played on that team. And although I was one of the best kids on the Sunday Rec League, I was just like average when it came to the best kids in the county. Right? I wasn't like a starter all the time. I was just one of the, but I was the roughest kid on the team. Like for real. I'm a wiry, rough kid. I grew up with a brother 12 years older than me and older cousins and stuff. And so, you know, I was just brought up rough. My family's old school Italian. They're really rough people, right? So I was the roughest kid on the team. So we were playing this town called Thistle, and they had about 5 or 6 Irish immigrants on the team.
Okay.
And these kids were rougher than me. These were kids. See, in New York and in the States, we play all different sports all year long. I'm playing baseball. These kids just played soccer. It was their whole life. Right.
Oh,
and they were these Irish immigrant kids that used to be out like in the snow with shorts on, kicking the ball around on the off season. You know, like they played all year. There was no off season. Right. So I just joined the travel team. So I just started to play year round. Like we would play indoor soccer in the winter on the travel team and stuff like that. So I just was starting to play, but we were playing these Irish immigrants. They were kicking our butts, elbow in, throwing us around. And my coach was like, stick to that one kid. That was the best kid on the team. So me and this kid were going at it the whole game. And then it came to a point where he was about to like kick with all his might on the net. And I just jumped right in front of him and sacrificed myself. And I knew it was going to be bad right when I did it. So not only did his foot, but the ball and his foot with all his might kicked me right in between the crotch. My cup protector split in half, right? And I was out on the ground really bad, the worst excruciating pain you could possibly think of, right? And the ambulance was taking a little bit too long because of where we were. So my parents were like, let's just throw him in the car and take him. So they were taking me to hospital, and on the way to the hospital. So this is in 1987. I'm 9 years old at the time. And on the way to the hospital, and this is in early September 1987. It was like wet and a cold day too. School had just started. It was a Sunday afternoon. And on the way to the hospital, I'm telling my dad, you know what it's like to get hit in the balls. You'll be fine. I'll be fine in 20 minutes. Don't embarrass me and make me go pull down my pants at the freaking hospital. And I'm talking my dad into not bringing me. And he's like looking at my mom, Jenna, maybe he's going to be all right. Let's bring him home, you know? So they bring me home. And I was in pain, but I fell asleep. I don't know how I fell asleep. And that was at Sunday night. Monday morning, I wake up. Don, I don't even remember going to school Monday morning. Right. So they told me on the way to class, I was walking and I just blacked out. Right. So what had happened was my left testicle had ruptured and a black tissue was forming in my testicle. So they basically had to perform quick surgery on me to save my life because there was like something really severe going on. And it's weird, divine timing too. So check this out. This guy, Dr. Barr, Barr, he was a national renowned surgeon who just happened to be at the hospital doing another surgery that day. Right.
Wow.
Holy.
Like still to this day, you know how like when you go to a new doctor, they make you give your medical history, and I have to tell them about the surgery. They're like, oh, do you remember the physician that did this? And I tell them the name. He's like, oh, how the hell did you have Dr. Barr? Like, what, you know, like they know him in New York. He's really well known. Right. He's flown all over the country to do surgeries. So he just happened to be there. And he was in his like late 30s at the time. He was like a young doctor when he did it for me. You know, this guy's like in his 60s, 70s now. So this was 1987, you know. So so basically, like I said, I don't remember going to school. What I remember, guys, is and my Don is right before I woke up on the operating table. And the way I describe it is, you know how like you have those dreams where they're so real, so vivid, so alive that when it wakes you up, it's so real that you retain a few seconds from right before you woke up.
I love those.
And when you wake up, you're not sure whether this reality is real or the other reality was real. Imagine that times a million. Imagine that times a million. That's how this experience was, right? So I remember right before I woke up on the operating table, I remember hovering over my body in the hospital room, looking down at myself, people working on me. I had my arms out like this and my legs were out like I was giving birth, literally, and people were working on me. And I barely recognized myself. And there was this rush of emotion that I remember that came over me, that like I didn't want to deal with that pain. It was like, oh, I don't want to deal with that pain. That looks bad. Like it
Right.
hurts. Like I don't want to go back to that. And when I
Oh,
made that conscious choice, I can't describe to you the warmth and the light that came at all sides, like north, south, east, west. It's like orbs or a light of warmth came around me, and it shot me up like you could see, like Google Earth, like as fast as you friggin' possibly could imagine. I left
wow.
Earth. It's not flat, by the way, either. It's this like bubbly torus type thing, right? And I actually was seeing the spinning in slow motion of things and the vibration of things. And as I'm leaving the planet, I'm passing through this green sea of intelligence. It was like an ocean
Wow.
of green sentient water. And as I passed through it, it was a combination of like whale and bird song. Woo,
Ooh.
woo, like that. And then I'm hovering above the earth, looking down, and in front of me, I look up and I'm still in this position, right? And in front of me is like this whirling, shimmering wave of water. You know, like something like on a hot summer day, I describe it when you see that shimmering wave in the air on a real hot
Yeah.
summer. It was like that, but way more visible, and it was like moving, but it was like in a whirling pattern in a tubular structure, but it was not a structure. It was more like shimmering water, and my body just got drawn right into it. And as I'm into it, it was like all the knowledge of the world was in there, but I couldn't really pick anything out. It was like, ooh, like all this knowledge. I felt like first it was about my life, but then it was like more, it was the way I describe it. It was like every particle of my existence was in one fluid state in this water, and everything was being analyzed, scanned, judged, weighed down to the very molecule of my existence. Like every fiber of my being was being analyzed and scanned. And I intuitively was leveling myself out in this water, like leveling my, like a carpenter's bubble, like in the carpenter's level, like the bubble in there. I was intuitively leveling myself out, and it was all this knowledge coming over me, right? And I wasn't absorbing any of it though. Like it wasn't like I was like oh I'm all of a sudden I could
Taking it
getting all these
in.
answers to all these things I've ever wanted. It wasn't like that. It was just a presence of this, and it was like it was so alive, so vivid, so amazing. I can't describe to you the amount of warmth and emotion that you feel. Like it was the most vivid, alive, so bright, so amazing, so alive and energetic and vivid and full of vibrance and warmth and love than you can ever imagine this realm could feel. Like it was just more alive than anything. And as soon as I leveled myself out perfectly in it, I woke up on the operating table in that very same position. And Maya, I was done. I was pissed. Not only was I cursing as a 9-year-old kid, I was cursing at everybody. You know, I was mad because I was like, where was I? You guys just had me in water in like space. They were like, no, you were dreaming. We just operated on you. You're fine, right? You were unconscious. Everything's gonna be okay. So not only was I pissed because I felt like they were lying to me about what I just experienced, because there's no way anybody was going to convince me what I just experienced wasn't real, that it was just a dream. It was
Right.
so vivid, so alive. So, like, and not only was I pissed about that, I was pissed because I just left something more alive and vivid and amazing than I've ever experienced in my life. And I left that, and now I'm back here and I'm in pain and I'm confused and I don't know who I am and where I am and what's going on. And I was in a lot of pain, a lot of pain,
Oof.
right? So I was like, what? I want to go back. Like, why did I just leave that? Like I said, I
Right.
didn't want to come back to this pain. Like, so, and I was getting these blinking recollections. Nothing, I lost, it felt like I lost memory of most of my childhood. And the only thing that was on my mind was that experience. The only thing. It was
Right.
just I'm eating and there's blinking recollections, like it's I went through some traumatic moment, you know?
Right.
And this is what led me, guys, to over 30 years of research into plasma physics, cosmologies, mythologies, etymologies, ancient writings, because I started to realize the symbols, the electric fire information that was coming over me. It's in the hieroglyphics. It's in the ancient writings.
It is.
It's a universal code. It's in Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Right? It's that's what it is. It's already the solar light religion is already written out for us, but we've
Yes.
lost it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like either that all of a sudden I got the answers to anything. I just became some great saint after that, because it awakened stuff in me, and it
Yeah.
left me. It was like, oh, now this stuff got awakened in you, and there's no one to guide you and show you what it is and what it means. So like I
Right.
tried to run from what I was feeling. I was a completely different kid after that. Not only was I talking and handling adults and girls and everything better, like I was a smoother kid, smarter. Things, it was like not a walk-in happened. No, don't think that. Things got activated that were previously sleeping. Neurons, DNA, right?
Yeah.
Stuff that was previously off is now on.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
I got into a long time. I was getting into drugs, running away from home, all this stuff as a kid, because I couldn't tell people what I was feeling, what I was picking up from others, what I was experiencing. It wasn't
Right.
until my early 20s where I went through like real spiritual changes to go on my path. It took me like over a decade of being homeless, because I come from a traditional Italian family. So
Okay.
at 14 years old, when I was coming home with pot and my hair dyed green and earrings, my dad was like, "Are you a fag? Are you a girl? Are you a what? Are
Oh,
you like you can't come. I don't want to come home from work and sit at the dinner table and look at his green freaking head." You
look at
know?
this clown, as my
Yeah.
dad used
So
to
like
say.
I
Right,
me
looking
my
like a
dad didn't
clown.
so I didn't want to conform to what they wanted. So we didn't mix that well as a kid. So I got in a lot of trouble as a kid. And I ended up in group homes. I ended up in jail. I ended up in
Oh,
all this stuff because, and so like eventually my friends were dying from heroin overdoses. I went and toured with a band for a while and everybody got hooked on drugs in the whole band. It wasn't worth it. We were traveling in a van up and down
wow.
the East Coast and stuff. And it was a shit. We thought it was cool at the time, but like, of course, we had girlfriends, we had everything we'd ever wanted in certain ways, but we were living a dirty, stupid life, and there
Right.
was no direction at whatsoever, and nothing to show for it afterwards, and nothing like that. And then when we came home, on November, like for Thanksgiving, my best friend, my bass player, like a brother to me, he was a few years older. He died of a heroin overdose, and when that happened, I literally told my mom I was going to 7-Eleven and I took a bus as far as I can go with the $150 I had on my pocket. I went from the Port Authority in New York City as far as I could go. I would need a freaking boat to go any further. I went to Long Beach, California, Long Beach and 16th and Long Beach, the bus station.
My
Just with the
town.
clothes I was wearing, $10 left in my pocket, and my acoustic guitar. And I ended up staying there for 3 years like that on the streets, playing guitar for money. I ended up getting my own apartment with other people out there, and I spiritually changed my life. And I left New York. I was on probation at the time. This was in 2001. I was in
Oof.
probation at the time. So when I came home in 2003, 2004, I actually had to do 4 months in jail but I was already a changed man. So in jail, I was like waking people up and helping them out in county jail and stuff. I was already changed, but had, I had literally, I had helped and found like a group of lost, like ancient ones. Like all these lost kids converged on Long Beach, California, and we met each other at just the
Right.
right time. And some of them are dead now. Some of them were like the best friends I've ever had in my life. But like we all sort of like helped each other get our lives together. And I was inspiring people all over. And I was actually a street musician for a couple of years. I toured before with bands. I played my own music. I've always used music to heal myself, but I stopped pursuing music for money because of the experience that I had. But I don't know if you guys want me to explain it, but I had a spiritual experience in Long Beach, California, which is ironically on the 33rd parallel. Same thing as Mount Hermon, where the fallen angels came down in
Oh,
Lebanon. They're on the 33rd
really?
parallel as well. So
What?
it's just I don't know if you guys want me to get into it. I don't know how much time we got.
We got a half hour. Go for it.
All right, so like I said, I was going through a lot of interesting experiences, and
I'm from Long Beach area, so you know.
really, so I was living on 4th and Cedar at the time.
I used to live right over there. Yes, yes, yes. That's my neighborhood
So
downtown.
I was at the time playing at 5th and Pine on the street in front of No Regrets.
Okay.
You know, my friends of mine owned a couple of those stores called No Regrets. Gerardo, his
Okay.
name's Gerardo. I don't know if you know that store. It used to be on 5th and Pine.
No, I don't know the store.
It used to be on 5th and Pine. Now I think that it's not there anymore. But it was sort of like an underground, sort of like gothic type of store. And the people that owned
Okay,
it,
maybe.
the people that owned it. They actually are in a local band in Long Beach that's touring all over the world now too. It's called Heavenly Trip to Hell. The name of the band.
Oh, nice.
HTTH. You know, they're big in the Long Beach scene. So I ended up making a lot of good connections out in Long Beach, being out there on the street, because I came from a combat sports background. So like,
Okay.
you know, there was a lot of times on the street where I helped people out that were in trouble. There were different times where I got jumped, and they tried to rob me and it didn't work out for so many people. There's times where I
Oh,
got robbed and got beat up too bad because of who I was and what I've done previously.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it was just a lot of stuff I
A lot
went
of
through.
karma being
I
cleared up,
I
huh?
got beat up by cops out there. I've, you know,
Oh,
all sorts of stuff out there. So
Cali for you.
yeah. And where I was in Long Beach, if you run from the police, there's helicopters on you immediately.
Yeah.
Because there's a right there is a helipad. So it's like right there. Actually when I was
Not
living
only
there,
that, not
they
only that, Ra,
yeah.
downtown you have everything. I think you have the CIA,
Yeah. All
the
it yup.
NSA. You have like everyone is right down in that right
I'm
Broadway,
glad you
and
said that because I don't want to talk
they're
about it on
everywhere.
here. I don't want to talk about the experience on here, but I've talked about it in the past. And because of the negative feedback I received from it, I don't want to go into it because people talk about my labs and stuff like that. So I was well known on the streets by the police for those 3 years that I was there because I was a street guy. I was there 24/7 pretty much on the streets playing music. Cops would be
Yeah.
called because I was playing music a lot, things like that. Right. So they knew me really well and they would try to shake me down a lot too. They would pull me in their car, tell me who's cooking meth, who's got guns all the time. They wanted to know who's cooking meth and where the guns are at. Right.
Right.
So, and I'd be like, I don't know shit. They're like, well, here's my card. If you do see any, give me a call. I would never call them. And then if they would ever see me, they'd be like, yo, why are you not calling us? And then they would like shake me down. Right. So me and the cops were not getting along at all. And it came to a point where I had those really intense spiritual experiences. And it was like a portal opened up in the park one time that I had this experience. The very next day, not even the next day, that happened where I had some missing time, like a day and a half missing time. When
Oh,
I came
wow.
out of that missing time event, the police were already looking for me. Everybody was telling me, yo, they've been looking for you all day, all day. So the minute they saw me, it was at like 1:30 in the morning. I started running when they saw me. So they finally caught up to me. They gave me a little beating. They put me in the car. I was brought to the Long Beach Police Department, put in the holding cell with other gang members, Mexican, all these different people, right? So I start arguing with the other Mexicans because I was trying to sleep on the floor with a toilet paper underneath my head as, you know, as a pillow. So the dude was trying to kick the toilet paper underneath my head because he was like, yo, I gotta take a shit. I need the toilet paper. So he was trying to kick the toilet. I was like, yo, chill out. There's other toilet paper over there. So I got up and we were like arguing. The cops came from behind, either hit me with a stick or a flashlight or whatever, because I got hit from behind. The next thing I remember, I was being dragged and I was around. The cops were dragging me to a cell. They threw me in a cell, stripped me naked. The next thing I remember after that, I was being transported. So I had a concussion and I'm like, damn, I can't fall asleep right now. My head is fucked up, right? So I was trying to stay awake, right? And I'm like, yo, everything's gonna be fine anyway, because they're probably just bringing me to. I'm like, if they're bringing me to the hospital, why did I have to leave? Like, don't they have somewhere to bring me, like an infirmary where I was? And I'm like, nah, maybe not, because I was at the local police station. So I'm like running through in my head where I'm going, and then I'm like, wait, no, probably just bringing me to the county jail. So I fell asleep. The next thing I remember, we're at the docks, Long Beach Pier, and I fall asleep again. I remember next thing that I'm being transported and I'm seeing like heading out towards Catalina Island. Right. So I was in and out. I don't know if it was from the concussion or if I was drugged, but my head had been shaved. I had been put in different clothing. When I came to, it looked like I was beneath the ground. There was military there with guns, and the nurses were arguing about my blood coagulating because I was so dehydrated that they were trying to take blood samples and they couldn't. And my blood was coagulating. They couldn't hit veins and they were arguing with each other. Right. And I was spitting at them every time I came. Like I was like irate and I was locked to the chair. So the next thing I remember after that, I was being transported back to the Long Beach to get arraigned by the judge. Now, I told the judge, and I was now shackled, waiting to see the judge with other people that were locked up. Black guy was next to me and all this stuff. The funny part about this is that I had these shoes that my mom sent me. They weren't name brand. They were court classics that my mom got at like Walmart or whatever. They were like white shoes at the time, really new white shoes. And I was wearing them, right? So it was my turn to go see the judge. And the judge, you'll see why I brought the shoes up in a second. So I go in front of the judge and I tell the judge everything that I can remember. I'm hysterical crying. And the judge is like, son, I don't know if you're telling me the truth or not, but I know one thing's for sure. You went through something traumatic. And I was supposed to go because the charge that they were originally even holding me for was bullshit. It was false impersonation because I didn't want to give them my name and they knew what my name was. And I'm like, if you guys know who I am, like I didn't have any ID on me. And when they frisked me, I had a double-bladed knife opened up in my sweatshirt. So, right, when I was walking down the street with that opened up in my sweatshirt. So that's what they arrested me. So I was supposed to go back and do like 17 more days in the county jail. But he was like, I don't know what you went through, but what you just said to me, like, just convinced me that I should ROR you. Like, you've went through enough. So that means released on your own recognizance. So like he released me that right there. So, but still I had to go back and sit until they can unshackle me and release me from being chained. Like I had to go sit for a minute with the other person. So I went back to go sit next to the guy, the black guy, this old 60-year-old black guy I was shackled to. He looks down at my sneakers. He goes, nigga, that was the most court classic I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, snap.
Because like all the story I told the judge, he was like, shit, nigga, that was a court classic.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a movie,
funny.
right? Yeah, but I don't know what happened to me that day. But I had gone through like a week or two of spiritual experiences in the Long Beach area, and it involved being in the park, the Cesar Chavez Park on First and Golden. That's exactly where all these experiences transpired.
So, I was told that a lot of people that are homeless on the streets, that they get used a lot. What they get used for, I'm not quite sure.
Well, check this out. The reason why I stopped pursuing music was because of this. I'll tell it real quick. And this is one of the most profound experiences that I've always wondered about. And I never got any answers, but I only could speculate. I know what intuitively I feel. But so, across the street from Lincoln Park on Long Beach Boulevard, there's Lincoln Park on Long Beach Boulevard where the library and the park is, where a lot of homeless people hang out.
Yeah.
Across the street from Long Beach Boulevard, there's a Burger King. I don't know if it's still there. So I was always in Lincoln Park there, always hanging out, right? Always playing guitar and stuff like there. Gotten a lot of fights in that park, hanging out, always hung out in that park, right? Across the street where the Burger King is, there was always this old man that would stand there, disheveled looking, long beard, always carrying this like cart that he would put cans in. I never heard him speak a word, would just grunt at me. Right. Right. And I would be like, yo, you want a burger, whatever? And I would mess around with him sometimes. And he'd be like, nah, like chasing me away. Right. I knew this man very well, his face, what he looked like, what he smelled like. I was around him for like 2 years all the time. Just every day I saw him, I walked by him. So one night I'm walking through the alleyways and to go to 4th and Cedar where I was staying. And all of a sudden, I was in a little depressed mood, feeling like maybe I should go back to New York. I was lonely, this and that. And I walk into the alleyway and I smell my dead grandmother's perfume. I mean, I didn't just smell it. It freaking saturated me. It was in my hair. It was all over me. And I even said her name, Nani. Like I said, like we call her Nani. I said it out loud and I was like, and then I found this book from the 1800s on a garbage can, Harmonics of Evolution. And on the binding, it says Ra, R-A, like that was the publisher. And I was like, what the hell, right? So
Oh,
that happened.
what?
The very next night in the same alley, I'm walking through to go through where I live. It was just after midnight, and I get this like epiphany that I need to write this song. And I have my guitar. So I go down near Cesar Chavez Park where I could be alone, and I start playing my heart out. I'm closing my eyes, playing, leaning against the wall. I was across the street from the park where there's this apartment complex where a lot of Filipinos and stuff live over there.
Okay.
Right. So I was over there leaning against the wall, and I'm playing guitar with my eyes closed, sitting, they don't say Indian style anymore, but just, sitting like yoga, like sitting with my legs folded underneath me, like sitting. And I was very agile at that age. And, I had done kickboxing, Muay Thai. I fought 2 professional fights. So like I could pop up off the ground from sitting with my legs folded in front of me without putting my arms down. I could just pop up, from being in with so I was very agile like that. So I was sitting in that position and playing guitar. I'm singing, playing guitar, and I never heard anybody walk up, anything like that, but I smelled a cigar or something. So as I smell the cigar, all of a sudden I open my eyes and I see somebody standing in front of me with dress shoes on. Right. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to get paid. Somebody's wearing a suit, whatever. He's about to give me some money for playing. So I didn't even look up yet. I just saw the dress shoes and the suit pants. So continue playing. Then the guy starts talking, and he starts talking real smooth, real direct. And he starts saying, I've seen you around, and you could play that thing real well, and you know how to take care of yourself. So as he's saying that, I look up to see who it is. Maya, Don, it's that old man, the homeless man. And not only is he not looking homeless anymore, he's in an old school, nice new suit, dress shoes. His hair is pushed back, nice and done, and his beard is all nice, neatly trimmed. And he's talking. I've never even heard him do more than a grunt. And he's talking the most smooth talk, confident talk. And he's telling me, kid, I seen you around. You know how to handle that yourself well, and you know how to play that thing real well. He's like, I'm opening a club. I came into money. I'm starting my own thing. I can give you anything you've ever wanted. All you got to do is say yes. Straight like that. I don't know, because in the position I was in, you would think there's no way this guy wouldn't say yes. And the kind of guy I am, there's 2 things that would have happened in that position. I would have been like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? And like chase him away with my guitar. Or I would have been like, bro, where do I got to sign? 1 or 2 things was going to happen. I would be like, get the fuck out of here. What are you, crazy? Because I knew who the guy was. But
you were being tested.
I'll tell you, Maya, it was my grandmother. The night before I had smelled her perfume, I think she was with me, because I don't remember making a conscious choice to say what I did or act like I did. It came over me. Because I'm a very excited kind of animated person. So like, that wouldn't have been my reaction. Some kind of calmness came over me.
Your
right?
guide, your grandparents had your back that day, because what it sounds like is this guy is either probably a handler, or he's probably FBI, or it's undercover.
So when he said
he watches people on the street, and
so when he said all you got to do is say yes, I popped up like a cat. Like a cat, popped up. Like I said, I don't have to put my hands down to brace myself. I was very agile. So I was sitting with my legs folded underneath me, holding my guitar, and I just pop up like a cat, right? And I'm looking him dead in the eyes, and some calm came over me. I said, sir, thank you, but no thank you. And I sat back down, and I started playing my heart out and singing. I look back up, and I can't even explain to you the color red that I saw in his eyes. It was inhuman. It brewed like a storm, like a whirlwind, and it was bright, damn near glowing, like a red storm in his eyes.
Oh my God.
So I shut my eyes as close as possible, and I took my head down, and I just started playing and playing and playing, and I looked up, and he was gone. Now, it's not over there. Real quick, 30 more seconds. Fast forward about 3 or 4 days. I'm driving on the bus past Long Beach Boulevard, past the Burger King. I see that MFer all homeless again in front of Burger King. Stop the bus. I get off the bus. I run across the street and I'm like, you mother effer, what was wrong with you the other night? And he's like, "Ugh," growling at me, right? I'm like, oh, screw you, right? So I walk away and then I look back. I go, it was you. You see, look, your beard's all trimmed still. And his beard was all still nicely trimmed. And then he's feeling his beard in confusion, looking at me, like confused, like trying to, like he noticed it. And then I walk away. I was like, ah, the weird thing is too, is there was this girl that I knew that I saw that was a musician, a singer. And I saw her right before I left Long Beach. I went back home to New York, right when I was walking to get on the Greyhound to go back to New York. I saw her talking to that man at Burger King. And I was like, oh my God. Never
She's
knew.
gonna bite it. She's gonna take it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. People telling me
Imagine
that.
if you started doing research and started asking around how many people has this guy talked to. You know, it sounds like he's probably a handler or he gets used. They probably tap in and out of him. And
Right.
he's probably, you know, one of them MK Ultra people where they just use him for assignments. You know, he's probably not even human. He probably just gets tapped in and out all the time. Because you
And
know,
what better place?
not
Yeah.
everybody here is human, you know.
What better place and what better veil? You know, yeah, I see you. What better
Yeah.
what better place and what better veil? I mean, right there, I mean, it's warm all year round. It seems like a lot of lost, talented kids find their way to that area, you know?
Yep.
And where I was too, you got Ocean Boulevard right there, which is a lot of fancy, expensive condos right on, and then a street two later, you're in the ghetto,
Yep.
you know? So
Yep.
it's like you got a lot of gay people and a lot of gangsters in the same community right there. It's a
Yep.
weird mix, and they're all doing crystal meth with each other and getting, you know, it's a weird
Yep.
mix. It's a weird mix.
My brother. My
Wow.
brother. That's his scene.
Dude, I've never seen so many
Not anymore.
bisexual Crip members in my life that are in the closet like doing gay shit with crystal meth and then acting like they're hardcore on the street. Meanwhile, they were just getting pounded out at Hamburger Mary's, you know?
Yeah. I ain't gonna I know somebody who found out that one of their baby daddies was low-key gangster. That story too. Somebody I know. Can't
Dude, there
remember
was this
who.
guy that we used to hang out on 10th and Alamitos and then on another street that I knew, and they called him Ponytail. He was this big Samoan dude with a ponytail. And I had a friend that was gay, and he was like, bro, that guy paid me to lick his balls.
What?
I was like, what, dude?
And he licked his balls?
Yo, so the next time that the guy was trying to push up on my gay friend to do shit like that, I waited for him to go inside and I stole his 10-speed bike and his stash that he had there. And then when he
You
finally saw me,
brought-
I was like, bro, I already know you're a homo. I'm gonna tell everybody.
Oh, you did him dirty. Word on the street is, dude
Yeah,
will get
dude.
his
Yo,
balls licked.
that area is crazy because like in New York,
Crazy.
there's a certain area you go to, like Greenwich Village. There's a specific area where people hang out like that. And in Long
Right.
Beach, it's sort of like all over Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and then like it's a weird mix of people. I wasn't used to that. Like it didn't happen to me in New York. Like in Long Beach, if you're a young, good-looking guy and you're on the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, they either think you're looking for drugs or looking to party and play or have sex, you know? So like I had like these old men in Long Beach, like trying to like ask me like if I was a hooker or some shit.
Ain't that
And I wasn't
crazy?
used to that coming from New York. So like, you know, it was just it was bad, you know, it was bad for me at first. Like I had to
You're like,
understand where I
I
was
just
at.
beat up this old man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And it seems like they
Old
were
man hit
doing
on
like a
me.
weird PT Cruiser or something. It's like a pedophile car.
Oh, yeah.
You think it's gonna be
Yeah.
like a young person, and all of a sudden it's like this 80-year-old like creepy man in there.
I've had all kinds of creepy things happen to me in California. That's why I had to leave California because
Me too.
it made me never want to be famous. It made me never want to, it just like, it was really interesting. I learned at a really young age, you know, just how it was. Yeah, it's
I've
but
seen
it's an interesting place though.
yeah, and I grew up with some people that are really famous in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it much, but one of my family members who I grew up with every weekend, He's one of the popular members on Sopranos. He played
Okay.
Michael Imperioli.
Okay.
So like
Okay.
I've seen what Hollywood can do to people and where the kind of groups that
Oh,
you get drawn towards and that recruit you.
well, my cousin used to when I was in high school, she called me one time. She used to be the president for Menudo. And she called me one day and she
Oh
was
wow.
like, I'm throwing a party for Ricky Martin. You want to come to the party? And I was like, nah, I don't want to come. And then she sent me a picture of her hugging like Ricky Martin. And I was like, why
Damn.
did I say no?
Yeah.
Living la
Yeah.
vida
I
loca,
remember Menudo was huge, man.
right?
That was
Well, I
before
ended up
he
taking
was
one
a
of them
solo
to
artist.
school with
That's
me.
what he was. He started with Menudo when he was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of people in my family and around me that a lot of famous people. So I never really wanted it, but it was interesting. It was interesting when I was young. But I've had a lot of paranormal things happen to me out there. But so what was interesting about your story is that your near death experience happened when you were a kid. And so that's like what shaped your journey and stuff. So what are you doing now? You want to let everybody know like what you're up to now though? And
Yeah.
then we'll
So
have you on for a part two and then we can pick up from there. But I'll
for
definitely
sure.
have to have you on again.
For sure. I look at it this way. Like when I had my near death experience, some people they have different things happen. Some people they can go through the rest of their life and it didn't make that much of a difference. But for me, it was kind of like I died and was spiritually initiated and came back, you
Right.
know? And then now I have to like go to war for the knowledge, sort of like it's a battle between light and darkness. Now it's your destiny has been activated. Now let's see what side you get polarized towards. Because the ancient knowledge, it all comes from the same source. But then you get polarized to use that knowledge either towards the light or the dark. And then the vibration of it starts to change. It gets altered depending on where you get, drawn
Right.
towards. So,
Yeah.
and that's the harmony of the spheres. Like all information, all life, all creation, it starts amongst the stars, amongst suns, and specific suns and specific solar systems. They draw in those energies. Like our sun in our solar system, it draws in all the streams of data from all these different suns and stars. And then each one of those streams is slightly altered from the star it's coming from, and then it gets altered by our own sun, and then the sun emanates that outward, and the planets all pick them up. Now the planets alter that information by their own vibrations, and then they emanate it back outward, and the moon receives it, or like the moons receive it. Like when our Earth receives the emanations from the sun, we absorb them, and then we slightly alter them from our own vibration, and then we send it back out with our prayers and our thoughts and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Then the moon absorbs them, and then the moon slightly alters it by its own vibration, and it sends it back out. And this is the harmony of spheres. This is the Akashic records. This is the plasma of creation of data that we have swirling from all suns and stars. And each specific sun and star is its own river of data of plasma. And it forms one big confluence of one big celestial ocean. And you see that
Right.
celestial ocean talked about in every culture's afterlife, every mythology. Whether it's you got to pay the ferryman to travel over of the river Styx, or it's you travel into the rivers and the hallways of Amenti and all this celestial abyss and all this stuff, right? So I started to after I had these experiences as a kid, and I had these experiences, running from who I was, when I had those experiences in California, I ended up going to Peru to do an ayahuasca in 2003. And that's when I completely detoxified myself from any like the drugs that was in my system, partying, all that stuff. Because while I was in Long Beach, I completely stopped doing anything but pot. Like I didn't have time to go get high on drugs. I was trying to eat and survive and find who I was in life. So like I wasn't running from my feelings anymore. I wasn't running from the pain. I was dealing with them head on and
Mhm.
in really incredible ways. So over time, I started to get pulled towards my ancestry, working with crystals, copper, using certain things that can help me form a barrier from all the unseen forces that are around us, constantly bombarding us, and also amplify and being able to tap into the collective memory of the planet a lot easier with certain things. So I started getting into working with crystal skulls, making copper devices, copper tensor tools, copper coils around quartz, things like that, right? So I started doing that probably around 2005. And since then, I've been helping people all over the world with their issues, doing crystal skull readings. I have my own website, my own radio shows, Patreon. I've been trying to.
Yeah, let it drop that right now. Let everybody know where all your links are while we have the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt. So you guys can find me at The Mystical Spiral pretty much across the board. I have a free information website at themysticalspiral.com. I have my store at themysticalspiralstore.com, which you can also access from themysticalspiral.com. I have Patreon, patreon.com/themysticalspiral. And for literally as low as $2 a month, you get access to all my groundbreaking research that I've been working on for the last few decades. I have thousands of posts already up on there, book recommendations, videos you can't get anywhere else, and it's only for a cup of coffee a month. I have a radio show on Truth Frequency Radio that's on hiatus now, but the archives are up. And I have a YouTube. It's not huge, but I got like a little over 8,000 subscribers or so on YouTube. It's Exploring the Ka with Castaldo. And I just started a new one called The Mystical Spiral, Copper and Gemstones.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. DJ Pooh Bear.
I've had this guy with me in front of me the whole time too. This is Tago.
Okay.
Smoky
Nice.
quartz.
Nice. Do you
And
want
see,
to jump in?
this is some of the copper that I make as well. This is a
Nice.
feedback loop, tensor feedback loop. We have harmonizers, copper harmonizers, things like that. And these come with the crystal ball that custom fits on top. These are really
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I wanted to show you my dagger when I saw your stuff before. I thought you would like it.
Wow.
Wait, it's got
selenite.
Both. It's got selenite. It's got everything. It has
everything. I'm going to send you a gift now. I know what to send you.
I got Mother Mary on there too. Yeah, I'm gonna order something from you as well. There's a few things that I wanted to check out your site.
Well, if you do order something, I'll send you a beautiful gift package with it.
Nice. DJ Pooh Bear, did you want to jump in and say anything?
No. You guys can find all of my content and videos of my huskies and Spinch's helpful hints over on March 4th Productions on YouTube and Rumble.
Nice. And what's the latest stuff that you put up there?
Actually, I gotta edit it tonight. She's showing everybody how to make a chocolate cake from scratch instead of buying the box garbage or a $30.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. With the cacao or what? What's she using for chocolate?
Yeah, cocoa powder. Like everything's right from scratch. It's fucking delicious.
Oh, nice.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm actually working on a documentary about on the megalithic sites that I go on with filmmaker Eric Swanson. And last time he picked me up to do the documentary, dude, he brought me homemade for syrup, like pancake syrup, homemade sap syrup.
Maple syrup.
Oh, God. That, and he brought me this homemade CBD oil. Oh my God. The sap, the sap syrup though is so good. It tastes a lot different than regular syrup is really good, man. If I can get you guys some, I'll get you guys some.
You mean like maple syrup? Like
maple syrup. He's a Vermont guy too, as well.
Well, yeah, I'm in New England. We only use real maple syrup. We do not do anything else. If it's not real, I don't do it.
Yeah, it's called Big Joe's Sap Juice.
Okay. Well, it's been such a pleasure to have you on.
I hope it went down the right route that you wanted. I hope we didn't take it the wrong route.
No, it was great. It was nice to have, there's never enough time. But no, I think that was really cool, and people can follow you and hear more of your stories and stuff. And the next time we can, you know, extend, we can go to the next part, because I would love to have you on again. There's always so much to talk about. We could talk about your crystal skulls, you know, we could do all kinds of fun stuff. So maybe the next time we'll have you on, we'll do a live on my YouTube, and then
Anytime.
we'll see if we can get some viewers to come on and ask questions.
Anytime. I just need about 24 hours notice, and I could pretty much
Okay.
make it work.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, let's say goodbye to everybody, all our listeners. Thank you. Don't forget
Bye.
to tune in next time. Next week's Friday, 10 to midnight, you know, every Friday night if I'm wide awake. So yeah, let's say goodbye, everybody.
Great.
Bye.
Spiral out.
Awesome.